Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the January 9th River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Christie, have a roll call, please.
Pierstead.
Here.
Bjork.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Morset.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Okay, next our approval of the minutes from the December 12th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
First and second. All, any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next we have the approval of the bills with Mr. Carroll.
Mayor and Council, I move for approval of payment of bills in the amount of $3,658,911.51, subject to comptroller. Second.
First and second, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move on to public comments. If there's anybody on us have anything they'd like to say, come on up.
Benjamin Fox, FOCHS, 2529 Paul Avenue. This council and the mayor just approved the minutes, and I hope you guys read that. The reason I asked that is that it's unfortunate that reading a lot of things here that when a chance to have locally sourced energy is somehow not a thing that the council take action on. And I think that's kind of unfortunate, is that cities are resource intensive. We bring resources from outside the area into it to function as a city. The lights in this building, the heat in this building are not from this area. And so when I see a lot of comments on that from names and addresses and all these things, I wonder, where do they think these things come from? And when I see things like the Pearson Family Farm, some of you guys may not have remembered in 2010, that was a really big deal here when this city and this area hosted a farm technology event that had tens of thousands of people here. So I hope you guys think of that when you guys think of when you don't have actions. I agree that access to the site is tough. And I also know that the city has had a lot of problems with the FF and 35 interchange. And so I do think that access to a site there would be best on FF. And I hope that the city can figure out how to get this done, because we all like heat in winter. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Anybody else in the audience have anything? Okay.
Ben, or Dan, if I could just say something,
Yep.
I'd like to just commend the citizens of River Falls. I haven't got the final numbers yet, but the amount of dollars that this community donates to, whether it's the Sunshine Club or 100 Women's Club or the Man Up Club or Rhinos Club, is unbelievable. And this year, 2022 or 23, excuse me, looks like it's another record year of money that's been donated in this community to nonprofit groups, and it's incredible and outstanding what this community does. So I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, and then Jamie Benson, the school district superintendent's got a little presentation for us.
Well, thank you, Scott and Mir and all of you for allowing us to just share with you a little bit about a couple of referendum questions that the school district will have on the ballot February 20th. It's important for us to talk with our community leaders, and this kind of exposure allows others in our community to hear a little bit. We have a handout that sometimes we go through an entire PowerPoint presentation, and out of respect for your time, I'm not going to do that here today. And so instead, I'll try to go through this in kind of the Reader's Digest version, if you will. And so basically, if you go to the third page, the cause of why we're at this crossroads and needing to ask the community for a referendum has really everything to do with a state funding formula for school districts. And on the ballot, February 20th, we're going to be asking two questions. One is for an operational referendum, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and the other is related to facilities. But the school funding formula has caused 80% of districts around the state to go to their communities and ask for operational support. The formula that's used was actually created in 1993 and continues to be used today. That antiquated formula was based on the amount of money districts were spending back in 1993, and the formula then slowly moves that funding formula forward. On page 4, top of the page, you'll see a graph that indicates the blue line showing that revenues compared to the rate of inflation, the blue line being inflationary cost increases, the gray line being overall state funding for all schools across the state. If you go to page 5, you'll see where this formula does not work the same for all school districts, and I show you a couple of comparisons where we receive $11,000 on a revenue limit per pupil. Our neighbors to the north get $12,348 per pupil. Madison gets $14,000. If we got $12,348, I wouldn't be before you here today, because the difference in the funding that we would be receiving when you multiply 3,400 kids times the amount that Hudson receives, we'd have another $4 million, and you'd be on with the rest of your agenda and not allowing me time to tell this story here tonight. Page 6, top of the page, shows you some other districts, just similar comparison in bar graph form. Page 7, I begin to outline and explain the difference between the two referendum questions. Operational means the day-to-day operations, the day-to-day costs. In our case, we're in the people business, and so therefore 77%, nearly 80% of our expenses is for employees. Operational expenses includes turning the lights on, putting fuel in our buses, buying a new bus, textbooks for classrooms, computers, and so on. Those are the day-to-day expenses. We're running out of money. The revenue cap formula, the cap, the limit, the formula created in 1993 no longer allows us to keep pace, and we're in the same place that 80% of the other districts around the state have been at already. That's the operational piece. Question 2 is called a bond referendum, specifically for facilities. It's called a bond because, like in your homes, if you take out a mortgage at the bank, in the world of school finance, they call it a bond. A bond is issued, you get loaned the money, you pay it back just like you do a mortgage over a period of time. So I'm going to explain a little bit of the detail on both of these. Our deficit projections on page 8 shows that our deficit projection for next year, 2024-25, is $1 million. It grows to $2 million after that and $3 million after that. Hence, that will be the question that we are asking for operational support. I'll explain that here in a second. When you get to page 9, the table there explains this $1 million ask in the first year, along with the tax impact, $5 per $100,000 value of your home. This is the way that most districts explain the tax impact. It's up to everybody to do your own math now. If you live in a $300,000 house, you take the $5 and you multiply it by 3, and so on. In the second year, the ask is for $2 million. Tax impact is 11 because you take the first 5 and you add another 6 to it. In 26-27, the ask goes to $3 million. The impact is $19 per $100,000 home. And then it stabilizes thereafter. It remains locked at that $3 million. So too does your tax impact. 19 remains 19. It doesn't go to 23, doesn't go to 27 or 33 or anything. It stays at 19. So our second question then related to facilities, the bond question. Several of our buildings are over 50 years old. And like in your own homes, when you have to repair a roof or replace a furnace, we have some of those same kind of needs, and I'll outline a little bit of that by sharing with you on page 11. At the top of page 11, we really try to tell the story regarding our facility needs in 3 categories. Category 1 includes security, building systems, and grounds, and that's $20 million out of our $28 million ask for facilities. And so my analogy and my comparison to replacing a furnace, replacing the roof, and so on, that's the building systems component in this particular category. When we replace our furnace, it's called a boiler, and it costs us $600,000. Or a rooftop unit that costs us $100,000, and we need 6 or 8 of those kind of rooftop units on one building. Again, 50-year-old buildings, we have to come back and ask for this kind of support because out of our annual operating budget, we simply don't have enough money. That formula restricts our ability to maintain our facilities without coming before the community and asking for this kind of support. So at the bottom of page 11, I'm outlining in category 1 some of the specifics that are included within that first category, security, building systems, and grounds. And then if you turn the page to page 12, you'll see at the bottom of the page, category 2 is the transportation center that we affectionately call our bus garage. And it was built in 1966, long overdue for improvements. And what we intend to do there, if the referendum were to pass, is we would keep the existing building where it's at and basically use it for storage. And we would construct a new building for our new transportation center with a maintenance shop, office space, restrooms, and so on. Page 13, you can see the location at the top of the page. We've circled in green where the new maintenance facility would be located, transportation center. And a picture's worth 1,000 words. On the bottom of page 13, we shared a few photos of our 1966 facility. You go to page 14, category 3 is a multi-purpose indoor athletic facility, and we've outlined some of the advantages that that facility would bring to our community as well as to our students. Picture's worth 1,000 words on the bottom. Again, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through all of the details here other than to just briefly mention advantages to our Phi-Ed classes during the regular school day, advantages for community and youth athletic sports, not only in their ability to use the new space, but in some cases it would free up other existing gym space throughout the district that would allow some of our youth and community activities to have more flexibility with their time. And we'd get the wrestling practice out of our middle school basement and put them where they belong at our high school, where they have the right kind of facility that other sport programs have, along with trainers and other supports that we provide to those other sport programs. On page 15, top of the page, we share a little bit of, in addition to that additional space to be added if the referendum passes, we can make improvements to our existing weight room and move some of that into what we call the green room, which is adjacent to our existing weight room, creating more flexibility and space. Athletes are literally waiting in line in the cramped space that we have now, and it brings flexibility in a number of ways. You can see at the bottom of page 15, the green circle shows you where the addition would be placed on the back side of the high school. Page 16, we're trying to be really clear with people on the top of page 16 that we're not doing, this is not a stadium. We're not building an indoor stadium here. This is just a multi-purpose space. It's practical. It's downscaled, if you will. This is an approach that we think is appropriate, and we're not building the Taj Mahal here. Tax impact, bottom of page 16. $28 million is a little bigger ask on the tax impact at $58.50 per $100,000 value of your home. Again, we like to remind people that $20 million of the $28 million ask is for that first category of security, building systems, and grounds. $4 million for the transportation center, $4 million for the multi-purpose space. Again, appreciate the time here. We're holding more public forums. We've been visiting with folks any chance that we get. There will be a mailer coming out this week to all households. We have a website. Our job really is to help the community understand what they're voting on. It won't be, as you know, it won't be the school board that makes the decision on this thing. It's gonna be a community vote. The school board has made the decision to put it out for the community to decide. The next slides, they give a breakdown of some more specifics people have asked. Can you give me a little more detail on what all is going into the facility improvements? I won't go through those with you. We thank our community. We thank you here tonight for your time. We've got a great staff. We're doing some good things at the school district, and frankly, it's what we want to preserve through this ask on February 20th. And last slide says, hey, change happens at the speed of trust. If people believe we're telling the whole story and we're telling the truth, we're not hiding things, we want to be transparent. And that's what we're trying to do, is just help people understand so that they can make an informed decision on February 20th. Again, appreciate your time. Do you have any questions for me?
I have just one. You mentioned that there's a website. Could you give the website address so people who might be listening can go check it
Yeah,
out?
if you go to our district's website, it is very front page and you'll see it there. So www.rfsd, River Falls School District, you'll find it, guaranteed.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just, if both pass in February, when would construction start or improvements start for?
Because what the direct answer would be 25.
Okay.
Because more design, more bids have to be let out, timelines associated with weather and those kind of things would push it to 25.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next move on to consent agenda. Change of agent for Dollar General. This would approve the appointment of Carrie Olds as new agent. Did you want to stop at each one of them? Or you can call it at the end?
Maybe if I could ask him to come up. I won't pull him, I'll just ask him to come up before we vote on it.
Yeah, that's
Or
fine.
You wanna do that way?
Yeah, that's fine. Next one is a change in agent for Kwik Trip. This would approve appointment of Dylan Roby as a new agent. Next one is a resolution accepting public improvements for Thompson Heights Subdivision. And we have a resolution accepting public improvements, which is the water main extension associated with the Thompson Storage. And the last one is a resolution opposing Senate Bill 691. Does anybody want to pull anything? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second, and then,
Yep. Go ahead.
if I could ask the agents to come forward, both agents come forward, please. So as I mentioned earlier, I ask every agent the same 3 questions, and I'll just ask them generally, and you can both answer however you feel is best. Do you understand the role of an agent?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Do you understand, do you possess a responsible server certificate?
Yes.
Okay. And you understand that if an alcohol-related violation occurs, even if you're not there, you are responsible?
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. Mr.
Thanks,
Mayor.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on anything? Okay. So we have,
We've got to have a vote.
what?
We have to vote.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna do. Slow down.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm a little slow tonight. So we got first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I can do this. Okay, next move on to administrator's report. Scott has anything for us, or anybody has any questions for Scott?
Just a couple updates, Mayor and Council. City offices will be closed Monday, January 15th in observance of Martin Luther King Day. A couple project updates the council has asked us to keep on top of. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Section 206 study. This is the study of the Kinney Corridor and the removal of 2 hydroelectric dams. We're in the process of the project waiver through the Army Corps. That is beginning in early January. As we go through that, we'll pause the rest of the project. Army Corps is anticipating that process to take 3 to 4 months. Expenditures to date on the project are $548,000. U.S. Army Corps of Engineers requested final sponsor cost share funds on 12/5/23. If you recall, they pay the first so much and then we split as we go forward. On the budget for that project, I believe was 650,000 or so. So we're under budget on that. Man Valley Corporate Park updates, total expenditures to date are just over 5.3 million. The lift station has had the electrical conduit installed. The sanitary sewer water trail construction to the lift station is complete. Water main has been installed and tested from Paulson Road to the UWR farm. And we've had installation of many stormwater structures and piping along Discovery Drive is where it's primarily completed. So Discovery Drive is on the south, coming from the sanitary lift station. And then water and sanitary sewer on the University Farm property is about 90% complete. So if you recall, that wasn't to start until the spring, so we can be thankful for the weather for that. Site restoration is underway, so people may notice that there's areas that need to be restored. They kind of kept doing construction for as long as they could, and then they'll come back and do some restoration. So those are the updates I have for the council. If you've got any questions for me.
Anybody got anything? No? Okay. I got a couple of appointments I'd like to make. For the Historic Preservation Commission, I'd like to appoint Cassie Radford to fill a vacancy through December of 26. I'd like to reappoint Pam Freed through January of 27. And on the bid board, I'd like to reappoint Heidi Hansen through December of 26 and reappoint Carrie Olson through December of 26.
I make a motion, we accept the mayor's appointments.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, move into recess in a closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E for the following purposes: deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. To wit, possible sale and development of property in Man Valley Corporate Park.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we move into a closed session.
Second.
I need a Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go, yep.
Bjork,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Bierstadt.
Yes.